Hello everyone and happy Halloween! It's that special time of year again, the time of year for spooky legends, horror stories, and celebrations of the occult. And what better way to get in the mood for this time of year than to sit back with some awesome Halloween movies? But which films are the best films to watch for Halloween? Well, I certainly have my top 10 picks, and tonight I'm going to share them with you. Now, just to clarify, these are not necessarily what I consider to be the best horror films of all time and so on and so forth. These are simply the best films to get me into that Halloween spirit. And without further ado, here's my list. Number 10. The Exorcist. Considered by many people to be one of the most frightening movies of all time, the legend behind its release is almost as frightening and as famous as the legends of the possession in the film. They say that upon its release, people went screaming out of the theater. And after seeing the film, I think you can understand why, even if you don't find it to be all that scary.
Your mother's in here with his car. Would you like to leave a message?
But by itself, the film has some incredible atmosphere and some unbelievable effects for its time. Not to mention some performances that will chill you to the bone, particularly by Linda Blair and Mercedes McCambridge.
And I'm the devil. Now kindly undo these straps.
Even if you don't believe in possession or those types of films, I think just about anyone can appreciate the power of this great horror film. And it's definitely worthy enough of number 10 on this list.
I want you to tell me that you know for a fact that there's nothing wrong with my daughter except in her mind.
Number 9. Ghostbusters. When I think of Halloween, I think of ghosts. Well, I think of a lot of things, but ghosts are definitely high on the list. Ghostbusters is a film all about ghosts. Different types of ghosts, where they come from, where they go, the stories behind each one.
Well, it would be a Twinkie 35 feet long, weighing approximately 600 pounds.
But aside from all that, this movie is absolutely hilarious. Anchored by a strong cast, including Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, Harold Ramis, and Rick Moranis, this film nails one laugh after another, while also managing to work in the spookiness of the ghosts.
What happened? Are you okay?
He slimed me.
That's great!
The balance works out with both, comes out to a great effect, and that is reason enough to earn recognition on this list.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Okay, who brought the dog?
Number 8. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is another film people usually list as being one of the most frightening films ever made. And like The Exorcist, it has this reputation for good reason. The cinematography is incredible and the opening chills you to the bone. Something I always found fascinating about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is that it's not as violent as people seem to remember. In fact, there's hardly any blood in the film, and there have certainly been more violent films prior to and since this film's release.
It takes something, though. I mean, just to do that to yourself like he's God.
But it comes down to the legend it spawns, the stories that people tell and they'll swear to their authenticity. As a matter of fact, most of the plot to this film does sound like a campfire legend, doesn't it? If you go out far enough past the old gas station, you come to a place where a man will kill strangers with a chainsaw and wear their face as a mask.
I don't know. Jerry.
It's spooky, atmospheric, and it's worthy of number 8 on this list. Number 7. House on Haunted Hill. I'm specifically talking about the 1959 film. Don't get me started on that garbage remake that was released in 1999. The House on Haunted Hill benefits almost entirely from themes I've already mentioned. Ghost stories, spooky atmosphere, but also a wonderful and typically chilling performance by none other than the great Vincent Price.
I've rented the house on Haunted Hill tonight so that my wife can give a party. A haunted house party. She's so amusing.
It stars Price as an eccentric millionaire who offers 5 strangers $10,000 each if they can spend a whole night inside the house on Haunted Hill, which has a particularly murderous past.
Get me out of here.
What about the 10,000?
I don't care. He wants to kill me.
Copies of the film are all over YouTube, and I absolutely recommend this to anyone who's looking for something a little different out of the normal Halloween viewing. It has twists and turns around every corner, and it might even actually scare you a couple times. The House on Haunted Hill, one of Vincent Price's greatest.
She was murdered by one of you.
Number 6. The Blair Witch Project. I know, a lot of people are really split on this movie, which is the only reason why I put it as low as I did. Nearly everyone I've ever talked to about this movie has either said it's brilliant or retarded. I am of the opinion that this movie is brilliant. It's one of a very small group of films I've ever seen that have truly scared me. Indeed, there are times this day that I get chilled if I watch it late at night by myself.
Okay, I've got everything on video, man. Oh, Jesus Christ, I didn't even fucking see these, man!
But it goes on this list half because it's so scary, and essential for any Halloween viewing, and half because of the legend of the Blair Witch that is built very meticulously around the film. I could go on and on much more about why I think this film works. Things like the realism it portrays, the wonderfully, truly frightened performances by the cast, and the simplicity of the execution of the story.
Oh my God! What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that?
But I'll suffice it to say that as far as Halloween goes, it's hard to get much scarier, or much down to earth, than the Blair Witch Project.
There's no one here to help you! That's your motivation! That's your motivation!
Please stop.
Number 5. Psycho. Of course Psycho is going to be on this list. Apart from having literally every element that is required for any horror film to work, Psycho feels like it needs to be watched on Halloween. It has the whole feeling of a haunted house from beginning to end.
It's not as if she were a maniac, a raving thing.
The Bates Motel turns into a spook house halfway through the movie, and the legends this movie spawns about the nature and identity of the killer and the half-terrified, half-charming owner of the hotel have become ingrained into our culture as much as any other horror film.
You know, I think I must have one of those faces you just can't help believing.
And what better time to exploit these themes than Halloween? Psycho, a film to scream for. Number 4. Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. It may seem weird putting an Abbott and Costello film above Hitchcock's Psycho on any list, but remember that this is a list specifically about Halloween films. And Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein is the film that pays more tribute to some of the biggest icons of Halloween than just about any other film ever made ever. Frankenstein's monster, Count Dracula, and the Wolfman all make great appearances here.
What's the matter now? You know that person you said that there's no such person? Yes. I think he's in there, in person.
It even has Bela Lugosi and Lon Chaney Jr. reprising the original roles as Dracula and the Wolfman respectively. How is that not awesome?
Why? I heard so much about you, I feel as if we have already met.
Not to mention, Bud Abbott and Lou Costello make what could only be described as one of the funniest comedic duos of all time.
Answer that phone. Answer the bell. Answer the phone.
Which one do you want me to answer first? Both of them.
The way they work off each other in these classic icons of horror has to be seen to be believed.
You and Wilbur are just trying to scare me. Well, it won't work. Ah!
I scared you.
Number 3. Halloween. Yeah, first of all, how could I not include this on the list? And second of all, why is it not number 1? Well, to be honest, I was a little underwhelmed by the original Halloween film the first time I ever saw it. To me, it wasn't that much better than movies like Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street.
Tommy, please! Tommy, hurry up!
Of course, this film has also defined Halloween and the way we see Halloween in a way that simply cannot be overlooked or ignored.
Seems to me you're just plain scared.
Yes. Yeah, I am.
It has an amazing and memorable soundtrack and one of the most recognizable villains of all time. Plus, it was pretty much the film that would epitomize the slasher genre forever. And it does get its fair share of some scares and so forth throughout. So, really, it only makes sense I would include it on this list. Halloween is, obviously, essential Halloween viewing.
Death has come to your little town, Sheriff. You can either ignore it, or you can help me to stop it.
Number 2. The Nightmare Before Christmas. It was extremely difficult to choose which film would be number 2 on this list between this and Halloween. I ultimately decided to go with this for 2 big reasons. First of all, this whole film feels like one big celebration of Halloween, rather than just a film that happens to take place during Halloween. Second of all, by simultaneously juxtaposing it with Christmas themes, it actually highlights the things that make Halloween Halloween.
There's children throwing snowballs instead of throwing heads. They're busy building toys and absolutely no one's dead.
Of course, there's also that wonderful song at the very beginning of the film. It's pretty much the only Halloween carol that I can ever think of.
This is Halloween, this is Halloween, 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 Halloween.
But the imagery is so gothic, the characters are so memorable, clever, and funny, and the animation is brilliant.
Merry Christmas to all and to all a good night!
That it only makes sense for this film to be number 2 on this list. And now, the number 1 greatest Halloween film is... Trick or Treat. Why is this film number 1? Because this film is Halloween. No other film captures the spirit and fun and horror of Halloween like this film does.
It happened 30 years ago, on a late Halloween afternoon.
It's an anthology film with stories that gain their strength from the traditions and legends of the holiday. This is the Halloween movie, much in the same way A Christmas Story is the Christmas movie. Everything from the sets to the costume to the music ooze of the holiday.
I don't even know what that was. Coach Taylor was in a hot dog costume, but fucking a pig.
At times it's creepy, other times it's funny, and other times it's downright sinister.
Over here! Wilkins! Wilkins, help me, goddammit! Help me! Wilkins!
But most of all, it's a hell of a lot of fun to watch. Upon its initial release, this movie was only screened in a few film festivals before finally getting a rather pitiful release on DVD, rather than a full-wide release. This is a crime. Trick or Treat is good enough for its own wide release, and if you haven't seen this film yet, pick it up this Halloween and let it get you into the spirit. Trick or Treat, the Halloween movie.
Let's carve a scary face this time.
And that's my list. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you found new films to watch this Halloween. And that's all I have to say about that.